Today we're going to upgrade the stock Aero wheel covers on our Tesla Model Y with these induction style wheel covers. Then we're going to put them to the test on the highway for efficiency and noise and see if they're worth the upgrade. Let's get started. This is the standard 19-inch wheel for the Model Y. Tesla calls it the Gemini wheel. It's got an Aero cover. Underneath that cover is a very nice looking alloy wheel. This happens to be from when Tesla offered the silver type of alloy wheel. Today, if you order a Model Y, it is a darker alloy wheel underneath the Aero cover. I think I like how these induction style wheel covers look. We're gonna prep them. We got to get them ready. There is some foam tape that we're gonna put on the inside of this wheel cover to protect the alloy rims underneath. And then we're gonna take it on an efficiency test. We'll test out the standard Aero wheels. We're also going to test out the car without any wheel covers at all. And then we'll go ahead and test out the new induction wheel covers from EVBASE. We'll test the efficiency and we'll test the noise. And then of course, we're gonna get to see what the car looks like with this upgrade. So we'll get started prepping these wheel covers. They do ship in the box well protected with foam and packing materials. And they give us this foam tape that we can put around the whole outside of the wheel cover. That'll help protect the alloy wheel itself when you take it on and off, keep it from scratching. What I'd like to do is give this foam tape a really good chance of sticking. So I'm gonna clean this off with a little bit of alcohol and swab it down that way. Got some simple isopropyl alcohol solution that I'm gonna spray around. I wanna give this foam tape a really good life of adhering to the inside of this wheel cover. And I think if we can get some of the chemicals off from manufacturing and whatnot, that's probably going to be to our benefit. Let's clean that up real good. That all looks good. Definitely got stuff off of the wheel. So now we'll go ahead and put tape on, and what I'm going to do is just start slow and go right on the edge there, just enough that it's going to allow the edge of this tape to touch the inside of the alloy wheel, and that'll keep the wheel itself from scratching. And yeah, so this goes pretty quick, and let's go ahead and finish this one up. Okay, we get to the end here. I'm just going to use scissors to clip off the end, tack that down. All right, there we go. There is one of the wheels, tape all the way around the inside. We'll do the rest in a similar fashion and get them all set up. Okay, we've got our wheel covers all prepped and ready. Let's go ahead and load them up, and then we'll head out to where we're going to begin our efficiency test. EVBASE also offers these center cap logos to accent your wheel covers. They come in either white, red, or black, and they stick right onto your wheel covers. What we're going to do is start from this Malta supercharger, which is at a Stewart's here in upstate New York. We're going to run roughly 30 miles north to an exit up by Lake George. And I picked that exit specifically because it does not have a red light that I will have to wait at. I can more or less just get off of the highway and get right back on coming south. We're going to do a full round trip loop all the way up and back. And then what we're going to do is we'll do that first run with the stock wheel covers, the Gemini wheel covers. Then we'll run that same test without any wheel covers at all. And then we'll run it a third time with the EVBASE Induction Wheel Covers. I'm charging here at the supercharger because I wanted to warm up the battery. Of course, I could have charged at home before doing this trip, but I wanted to warm up the battery. It is a gorgeous day here in upstate New York. It's mid 70s. Should actually maybe even get to upper 70s today. But what I wanted to do was start with a nice warm battery. And while it is a gorgeous week here this week, we have had some cool nights. And even though I keep the car in the garage, that is also cooler in there than outside. So what I'd like to do is have a nice warm battery to do these 3 range tests and be able to have a good baseline to compare them. So by having a warm battery, we should eliminate any resistance or any inefficiency that could be based off of the battery starting cooler and ending warmer throughout the day. I'm going to try to have it start at that warmer temperature right now by charging up. So let's go ahead and get things settled inside the car. All right, so we're in here in the car. We've got our path marked out that we're going to go from this Stewart's here in Malta. We're going to go up to one of the Lake George exits there in right along 87. We're going to follow 87 the whole way up. And then we're going to do a return trip as well. And I've got both of those in here. So I've got our Lake George exit that's actually right off the off-ramp there. And then without any red lights or anything, we can go ahead and turn around, come right back to the Stewart's that we are sitting at right now. And we've already got our wheel test here in the trips. We'll go ahead and reset this one when we're ready. What I'll do is we'll go down here to the red light at the far end of the Stewart's, and that's where we're going to do our best to get out onto the highway in a consistent manner each time. And what we'll do there is when I get to that red light, I will reset the trip meter for our wheel test. We'll run it with the existing stock Gemini wheel covers. Then we'll run no wheel covers at all. And then we'll use the new EVBASE induction wheel covers. And each one of those will be 29 miles and then 29 miles back. So it'll be roughly 58 miles round trip for each of these wheel tests. And by doing a round trip like this, we'll get rid of any variables as much as we can regarding wind and elevation and that kind of thing, so we can have some consistency to test against for each wheel cover. We're almost charged up, so let's go ahead and hit the road. Okay, let's go ahead down here to the red light. Actually, I want to scope it out. Yeah, it looks like the red light should stay red while we're there. I'll bring up our trip meter and we'll go ahead and reset, and we're off. We're going to take this just up the road here, get onto 87 North, and let's start the wheel test. This is the Gemini wheel covers. Okay, we are getting off at the exit here. Let's go ahead and do this in a nice, consistent way. When we get down here to the end, we are going to make the left here because we're going left. This is the halfway mark. We have gone up in elevation, so it's really not fair what the overall efficiency is so far, but just for sake of comparison, we're at 283.2 after this first leg of the first round with the standard wheel covers. Now we're going to come up this way. We're going to get right onto I-87 South, and we'll go ahead and return to the Stewarts that we started from. Here we go. All right, we're coming up to our exit. We're going to take this off ramp. And the nice thing is the Stewarts that we started from is directly at the end of this off ramp. This off ramp makes basically a 180 here to merge onto US 9. And the Stewarts is directly at the end of this off ramp. Come around the corner here. Try to be nice and smooth on the deceleration. And of course, I'll try to do the same thing the next two rounds. So what I'm going to do is pull directly over here and go ahead and pick a nice spot behind the store. Here we are. And what do we got? 267.9 watt hours per mile. We use 15.6 kilowatt hours. Total distance round trip was 58.4 miles. So 267.9 is the magic number for the standard Gemini wheel covers that come stock with the car. Now let's go ahead, go outside, and prep the car for round two. Okay, let's go ahead and get these wheel covers off. To do that, you're just going to grab them, kind of give them a firm tug. You're going to go around and get each spoke, and then they come right off. And then there's your alloy wheel. That is the standard Gemini wheel that's under the stock covers. It's a sharp looking wheel. Of course, you can get the caps and the center cap for them from Tesla or aftermarket. EVBASE has them as well. And so now what we're going to do is take these off of each wheel, and then we're going to do the same loop that we did just previously with the Aero caps. We're now going to run the exact same path. We've got that locked into the navigation. Let's just circle around the back and we'll go ahead and get ourselves over to the red light. Come to a stop. Let's hit our trips, reset our wheel test, and we're off. Round number 2. Alrighty, we're coming up to exit 21. This is the halfway point for round number 2. Trying to do the same type of deceleration. And if I remember correctly, when we were at this stop sign last time, it had just ticked from 284 down to 283.2, something like that, I believe. I'll double check it. But of course, this is just a halfway mark. Very interesting. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it was 274. Yeah, it just ticked to 278.4 for the midway of this test. So now we will go ahead and do the halfway mark, and we will continue trip down 87 South, back to the Stewarts, and let's see how round 2 finishes up. Okay, in about a half mile, we are coming up on completion of round 2. This is without any wheel covers at all. Looks like an interesting result here. I'm peaking at the watt hours per mile, and we just may have actually beaten the mark that would have been set with the wheel covers. So something doesn't seem quite right about that. Obviously, there must have been some different conditions if that's what holds up here. It looks like that will, since we're really doing nothing but slowing down between here and Stewart's, which again is at the end of this off ramp. Ironically, there were just the couple of lightest drops of spritzing rain, not enough to really, frankly, get the ground wet. You can see how dark it is up there. That's where we just came from. That's looking north. So, we must have had some different conditions. I mean, I've had the AC set to the same. I've also had the wind and the temperature monitored, and they all look the same. So let's go ahead and check it out. We are at 261.7 watt hours per mile. Very interesting. I don't suppose it's possible that we actually got the battery to a higher temperature, more efficient temperature. I mean, after the supercharge, we immediately went on our first round, so we should have had a nice warm battery. Little perplexing how we ended up at 261 instead of 267. 261 being without any wheel covers at all. Oh well, let's go ahead and put the induction wheel covers on, and we'll go through that installation. Okay, here we are. We're going to put the new EVBASE induction wheel covers on. What you want to look for is wherever your valve stem is, we want to match that up with the corresponding hole for the cover. So we'll just put that there. We'll go ahead and give a nice tap all the way around. And then give one right in the middle, because that also needs to sit. Boy, I really like that. That is pretty sharp. And the nice thing is, if you do have a rim rash anywhere around your wheel, it will cover that, because unlike the stock Tesla cover, which goes right up into the bead there at the end, the EVBASE covers actually go over top of that bead. They go over top of the lip. So if you have any rash on the edges of your wheels, if you've hit any curbs or anything, you're going to cover that up. And boy, I got to say, I like the matte finish on it. I'm interested to see how that finish holds up, but I think that's pretty sharp. That's definitely a looks upgrade. We'll see what happens with the efficiency, but I like it. I really like the look of those wheels. Let's do the other ones. Okay, we are ready for round 3. This is the final round. We've got the new EVBASE induction wheel covers in matte black. Hey, there we got a Cybertruck towing, so it has to pull up sideways to the charger. It looks like they're not blocking too many, luckily. But that's what you got to do when you're towing and you don't have a pull through. So now what we're going to do is come down here to the stoplight like we have the last 2 times. And now we'll go ahead and bring up our trip meter. We're going to reset the wheel test. Okay, we've hit the reset. We just got the green light. And now we are going to accelerate here like we have previously, as much as I can muster with traffic. And remember, by the way, our lifetime watt hours per mile, 257.2. That is about a month and 6 weeks worth of driving. I'm sorry, a year and then about 6 weeks. Yeah, so about 13 and a half months worth of driving to have 257 lifetime since we picked up the car new. All right, so what we're going to do is head on up to the Lake George exit 21 again, and then we'll head on back. This time we've got the new EVBASE wheel covers on, and let's see, as I accelerate up here, I want to see if I can hear anything different. I don't think I hear anything different on the wheels. I was listening for a whistling or a wind noise of any type that might be different. I don't hear anything different, so I think that's good. Let's lock in 70 miles an hour. Whoops, not 71. Let's do 70 like we have before. Do round 3 up and back. It's 58 miles and change. And let's see how the efficiency is. Let's go. So, interesting thing is, this rain was not on my radar today, pun intended. No idea that we were going to get this at all today. It was pretty warm today, so this is more of like a pop-up shower. Luckily, I don't think it's going to really affect my test too much. What I'm going to do here is get into the right lane because we're coming up on our halfway point. I don't want to draft behind trucks too much, but in this case, I need to get into this lane now because in about a quarter mile, we're going to get off here at exit 21. And I will note what the efficiency is when we get to the bottom of the off ramp. And these midway points, I think, have kind of been all over the place. I've been thinking about why the run with no wheel covers was significantly less than the one with. I'm not sure I've figured it out yet. So here at the bottom of the stop sign, 273.4 is our efficiency at the halfway mark. That seems pretty good. And I have a feeling this run is going to be probably the same as without the wheel covers, maybe even a little better. It should be better, certainly aerodynamically, but I still think we must have had a snafu on that first run. Maybe I had an extra heavy headwind or not the same amount of tailwind on that return leg. Something must have gone wrong. Maybe the battery was still a little coldish. Um, I don't know. I did preheat I navigated to that supercharger and made sure that it did the automatic preconditioning. So it was heating up the battery for a good half hour on my way to that supercharger. Then I charged up. Granted, I didn't start from empty. I got there with about 50% charge roughly. And, I still think that would have been enough charge to warm up the battery to a really good running temperature. So I'm still a little perplexed, but I guess we'll see when we get back how our efficiency looks with the induction wheel covers. And yeah, we'll take it from there. On our way back. Okay, we are 1 mile from finishing up our third leg. This is the test round with the new EVBASE wheel cover. And I gotta say, preliminarily, the efficiency number here is more what I would like to see in relation to the second round, which was no wheel cover at all, just the bare Gemini wheel. This is definitely going to come in at a healthy discount, much more efficient than running the bare wheel. And it's further proving that first run with the stock Aero cover, something must have been off. There must have been some kind of fluke. I must have had either a much stronger headwind on half of the leg, maybe a weaker tailwind, or maybe the battery was just not properly warmed up and I lost some efficiency from having a slightly cool battery. That's possible. Yeah, this is definitely going to come in at a good number compared to the bare wheel. So here we are back at Stewart's. We're going to make the hard right here in the parking lot. And we're going to come over to the spot we've been stopping. This time we don't have a school van in our spot. And there we go. Put it in park. 256.6 watt hours per mile for that round. 15 kilowatt hours even. And this time it measured 58.3 miles. Before, I believe it measured 58.4. That's a little weird. But yeah, 256.6. It clearly looks like round one was an outlier. But yeah, these wheel covers definitely help compared to a stock standard Gemini bare wheel. And there we go. Thanks to EVBASE for sending out these induction wheel covers in matte black for the Tesla Model Y. These are for the 19-inch Gemini wheels. I gotta say, I like them. I like the efficiency. I like the look. I'm gonna keep them on the car. They look really nice. And especially, I think, with the stealth gray color, I think it really helps make the car look a nice overall dark color. If you like to get a set of these wheel covers for yourself, I'll leave the link in the description. Be sure to use the promo code TRIPPIN for 22% off your wheel covers, as well as anything else you might find in the EVBASE store. Thanks a lot. Keep your wheels below you and keep on tripping. Bye-bye.